A brave teacher took a stand and lost her job. But not her mission. The rain poured mercilessly that Friday afternoon, drumming against the windows of Willow Creek Middle School like a warning. Inside room 214, amidst the hum of flickering fluorescent lights, Miss Rachel Adams stood frozen, her trembling hands clutching a suspension letter, her heart pounding louder than the thunder outside. Just hours ago, she was helping a shy, soft-spoken student named Malik gather his books after another day of being mocked and overlooked. And now she was being escorted out of the school she had called home for 10 years, accused of overstepping boundaries and inappropriate involvement, all because she stood up for a child who had no one else. As she turned for one final glance at the classroom walls, filled with art projects and encouragement quotes, she blinked away tears. She had lost her job, but something deeper within her had only grown stronger. Before we dive deeper, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, in standing up for what's right, even when it's hard, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to USA Soul Stories. Every action helps these stories reach the hearts that need them. Rachel had always been more than just a teacher. Her students called her Miss A, a small name for a woman who carried oceans of compassion. In the low-income district of Willow Creek, she had become a lifeline to many kids whose lives were riddled with instability. She bought winter coats for students who showed up in hoodies during snow. She stayed after school to tutor kids who had no help at home. And for Malik, a 12-year-old black boy with a quiet voice and a bruised spirit, Rachel had become the first adult who truly saw him. Malik's story wasn't unusual in Willow Creek, but that didn't make it any less heartbreaking. His father had been incarcerated since he was 5. His mother worked 2 jobs and came home too tired to parent. He was bullied relentlessly by classmates. His lunch was often just a small packet of crackers, and his test scores were plummeting. But one day, Rachel noticed a drawing he had done during recess, an intricate, beautiful sketch of a bird taking flight, with tiny tears drawn falling from its eyes. That image haunted her. It was pain, hope, and escape all wrapped into pencil strokes. So she did what she always did. She leaned in. She invited him to join her after class. She spoke to the school counselor. She even reached out to Malik's mother, offering quiet, respectful help. But when she discovered Malik was being punished in the cafeteria for things he didn't do, singled out by a staff member with a pattern of discrimination, Rachel couldn't stay quiet. She filed a report. She spoke out. She demanded change. The backlash was swift. The staff member in question had been with the school for over 20 years and had close ties with the administration. Rachel's concerns were dismissed as overreactions. Suddenly, her performance was under review. Small mistakes she had made months ago were used against her. Anonymous complaints were cited. The pressure mounted. Rumors spread. Colleagues distanced themselves. Parents who once praised her stopped replying to her emails. And then came the letter, the final blow. Suspended indefinitely for violating professional boundaries. Rachel was told she was too emotionally involved. No severance. No apology. Just silence. Rachel spent the first week in a daze. She didn't leave her apartment. The walls closed in on her, like the judgment she never saw coming. But then, a letter arrived. It was from Malik. In shaky handwriting, he wrote, Miss A, I don't know what they did, but I saw how you stood up for me. No one ever did that before. I drew you a picture of the bird again. This time, it's not crying, it's flying. She held that letter to her chest and cried for Malik, for herself, for every child caught in a system that punished kindness when it became inconvenient. Rachel could have disappeared quietly, found another job, moved on, Asterisk, but instead, she did something brave. Asterisk, she started a YouTube channel, Chalk, Dust, and Change, to share stories of students who needed help and teachers who risked it all. She built a website connecting volunteers to struggling schools. She partnered with nonprofits that supported educators and students in underserved areas. Slowly, her voice, once confined to room 214, reached living rooms, smartphones, and classrooms across the country. Asterisk, she wasn't alone anymore. Asterisk, messages flooded in from teachers, who had also been punished for caring too much, from students, who remembered the one adult who believed in them, from parents who wished someone like Rachel had been there for their child. Asterisk, and then something unexpected happened. Asterisk, a former Willow Creek student, now a journalist for a major paper, heard her story and shared it on a national platform. The article went viral. Asterisk, the district had no choice but to respond. An independent investigation was launched. New policies were implemented. The staff member who had mistreated Malik quietly resigned. Rachel was offered her job back. She declined. Asterisk, because by then, her mission had outgrown the classroom. She had become a voice for the voiceless, a light in dark hallways, a movement of one turning into a movement of many. Asterisk, 1 year later, Rachel stood on stage at an education conference in Chicago, looking out at thousands of teachers, parents, and students. She held up the bird sketch Malik had drawn her, now framed and hanging in her home. Asterisk, this, she said, her voice steady, is what happens when you believe in someone who doesn't yet believe in themselves. This is what happens when we stop being afraid of doing what's right. Asterisk, and somewhere in the crowd, a young boy with wide eyes and a quiet smile watched her speak. Malik, now confident, now soaring. Asterisk, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to USA Soul Stories. Let others know that courage, love, and compassion still matter, and they can still change the world. Asterisk, special request: before you go, drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever had someone stand up for you when you couldn't? Or have you ever stood up for someone else? Your words might inspire someone who needs it today. Asterisk. Absolutely. Here's a powerful, longer continuation of the same story, expanding it toward a 6,000-word cinematic narrative while deepening emotional arcs, exploring further challenges, and leading to a more moving and inspirational ending. Rachel's story didn't begin with Malik. Her whole life had been a quiet act of resistance. Asterisk, born and raised in a small Midwestern town, Rachel grew up in a modest home where love was abundant, but money was not. Her father was a factory worker, her mother a school librarian. Education wasn't just encouraged in the Adams household, it was revered like a sacred promise. Rachel spent her childhood wrapped in stories, hiding behind thick books, and imagining classrooms where no child ever felt invisible. Asterisk, when she became a teacher, she vowed her classroom would be different. She wouldn't just teach math and history, she'd teach hope. She'd make sure her students felt seen. Asterisk, at Willow Creek Middle, she poured herself into that promise. Every student mattered to her, but she had a special place in her heart for the forgotten ones. The kids who smelled like smoke and slept through lessons. The ones who wore the same clothes all week. The ones labeled trouble before they had a chance to speak. She saw their fear behind their anger, their loneliness beneath their silence. And she saw herself in them too. Asterisk, Malik had been different from the start. He never caused trouble, never raised his voice. But that quietness, it wasn't peace. It was survival. Asterisk, the day she saw Malik standing outside the lunchroom, holding a tray with a spilled carton of milk, his eyes full of shame while other students laughed, something inside her broke. Asterisk, she sat with him, listened, asked questions. No one else asked. Asterisk. She discovered he hadn't eaten breakfast. That the staff member assigned to discipline duty had repeatedly singled him out for the smallest things, talking too slowly, walking too quietly, blinking too long. She learned Malik had been marked problematic, not because of behavior, but because of perception, and Rachel couldn't unsee what she saw. She filed the report. She documented everything. Asterisk, but systems don't change easily. Asterisk, the principal, Mr. Townsend, was a man who valued order over truth. You're too close to this, he warned her. You're getting emotional. Asterisk, she was emotional. Because injustice should never feel normal. But in the world of public schools, where funding was scarce, test scores were currency, and the loudest teachers got silenced, Rachel's truth became dangerous, and the retaliation was brutal. Her car was keyed in the parking lot. Anonymous letters were slipped into her mailbox. You're not saving anyone. Watch your back. Parents withdrew support. Friends on staff avoided eye contact. One morning, her classroom door was found spray-painted with the words, "Not your kids." Rachel didn't stop until they stopped her. Asterisk, the suspension wasn't just a job loss. It was the erasure of years of love, labor, and belief. Asterisk, but pain, she would later realize, is often the birthplace of purpose. Asterisk, the first video she posted online barely got any views. Her voice trembled. Her editing was amateur. But her message, it was raw, and it was real. I don't know who needs to hear this, she said into the camera one night. But if you've ever been punished for doing the right thing, you're not alone. And you're not wrong. That video hit 50,000 views in a week. Soon, she was flooded with stories from other teachers. One who was fired for reporting abuse. One who was harassed after exposing a principal's misconduct. Another who had to quit after advocating for disabled students. Asterisk, Rachel compiled the stories, shared them weekly. Asterisk, her channel, Chalk Dust and Change, grew into a platform. She didn't just speak, she organized. She launched an initiative called Voices Unheard, offering free legal consultations for whistleblower educators. She worked with retired principals who had once fought the system from the inside. She raised funds to provide school supplies to districts like Willow Creek without making teachers dip into their own pockets. Asterisk, all the while, Rachel wrestled with the trauma she carried of being betrayed by the very institution she gave her life to. But one thing never left her. Malik, asterisk, he wrote to her every few weeks, updating her on school. Still hard, he said once. But I got a B in art because of you. Another time, I told my friend to speak up when they got in trouble for something they didn't do. It worked. Thank you. Asterisk, in those letters, Rachel found a sacred truth. You may not see the full change you begin, but you must still begin it. Months passed. Then the journalist's article broke. Asterisk, the headline. Punished for protecting. How one teacher's courage sparked a movement. Asterisk, it told Rachel's story in detail. It included testimony from students, parents, even staff, who now admitted they were afraid to speak before. Malik's mother went public too, sharing how Rachel had been the only person who ever called to ask how Malik was doing, not as a student, but as a child. Asterisk, public pressure exploded. Rachel was invited to speak on podcasts, on local radio, even on daytime television. Donations poured in for her causes. Activists and education reformers took notice. Asterisk, and then came the email from Willow Creek's district superintendent. Asterisk, an apology. An invitation to return. Rachel spent hours staring at the message, but deep down, she already knew her answer. Asterisk, she replied, I'm no longer just a teacher in one classroom. I'm here to rebuild the whole school. Asterisk, instead, she launched a national teacher mentorship program that encouraged curriculum training educators on how to advocate, how to protect, how to persist. Malik, now 13, became one of her ambassadors. A community summit in Detroit, he stood on stage, holding Rachel's hand, and told hundreds of strangers, "When I thought no one cared, Miss A did. She didn't save me with money or power. She saved me by seeing me." Asterisk, the room fell silent. Then tears. Then applause. Asterisk, the world didn't change overnight. Rachel still faced resistance. She still lost sleep. But she had chosen the long road. The one that leads to justice, not comfort. Asterisk, and one day, while visiting a school in Atlanta, a young teacher approached her. She had just started teaching, had already been warned not to get too attached to her students. Asterisk, I was ready to quit, she said softly. Then I found your channel, and now I think I'll stay. Asterisk, Rachel smiled, because that was the mission. Asterisk, to remind others that caring is not a weakness. That courage doesn't come from titles, but from choices. And that sometimes the loudest. Revolution is the quiet act of standing up when everyone else stays seated. Asterisk. If this story moved you, even just a little, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to USA Soul Stories. Your support helps these real, brave stories echo far beyond a single screen. Asterisk, before you go, we ask one special thing. Leave a comment below telling us who your Miss A was. Was it a teacher, a coach, a neighbor, a friend, someone who saw you when the world didn't? Let's fill this space with gratitude, healing, and love. Your story could be the light someone else needs today. Let me know if you'd like the full 6,000-word written version exported, or if you'd like thumbnails, short quotes, or video script formatting for YouTube. Asterisk.